So, John Marcel Williams, despite it being early in his career, is an esteemed classical guitar performer, having won several competitions, Peabody and Curtis alumnus, and currently teaches at Rowan University. He will be performing for the Philadelphia Classical Guitar Society, of which he is a professional member and serves on the board of directors, on Sunday, February 13th, 2022 at 3 p.m. And that's going to be via a YouTube live stream. So John, welcome.
Thank you.
So first off, what are you going to be playing for the concert?
So I'm going to open with the Bach BWV 997 Blues Suite. And then I'll follow that, I believe, with the Armando Rice, a few pieces by him. He's a Brazilian composer. And then I'm not quite sure on the order, but I'll also be playing Prelude from Suite Antiga by Guido Santorsola, and Coyambaba by Carlo Domeniconi. And then I think I'll end it with the Primavera Porteña by Astor Piazzolla. So
okay, that's a good spread. So
yeah,
I guess the big elephant in the room there is the Coyambaba and its tuning.
Yeah.
Do you have another guitar solely for that, or do you always have to tune it down, especially one in concerts and two in practice?
Yeah, well, if it was going to be, I was actually really considering, because originally the concert was going to be in person. I was debating how to deal with that. So for those who aren't familiar with the piece, it's written with Turkish influence. Coyambaba is named after a town in Turkey, and although Domeniconi himself is Italian, but the tuning is in C sharp minor, so it's all crazy tuning. So yeah, I will be using a separate guitar for both if it was live, or I probably would have done the same thing. But yeah, because it's just going to be going out of tune constantly, so I have to sort of let it rest. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and especially if you do the tuning, I found if you do detune or uptune or any mess with the tuning of and temperament of your guitar, I know I always have to pull my strings, almost like a bow, and then retune it again, pull it, test the tension, just so it'll stay in tune for at least one part of the suite.
And because it's usually we just tune it down to a drop D, and sometimes that can cause problems. But this piece, every single string is in a different tuning except the high E. So yeah, it would be a mess if I tried to do it on one guitar. So I will be using a second guitar for that one.
Yeah, it's of course a neat piece, drastically different from the Bach.
Yeah, it's a very unusual, beautiful piece, and just fun to play, because you never get to play in that tuning. So
oh yeah, and especially it has sort of like that Barrios cathedral feel, where you can breathe with it, you can be a little bit more rubato and less strict with it. And it's funny that you mentioned the Turkish influence. I can really feel like I'm in a Turkish harem or something.
Yeah, it's very mythical. Yeah, beautiful.
And it's fun to play. Do you take a lot of liberties when it comes to rubato and phrasing? Yeah. Let it expand and contract.
Yeah, it is really fun to play, and I'm pretty free with it. It's such a dramatic piece. I feel like it kind of lends itself to, if you listen to different recordings, everyone plays it so differently. Yeah, I'm pretty free with it. It is a lot of fun to play, I will say.
Yeah, I feel like it would be too much of a straw man to compare it to Bach, where, yeah, you do have those liberties. The whole Mozart saying of the left hand has to be steady while the right hand is a little bit more free, if I remember correctly. But instead of that straw man, we can always talk about that. But really, the comparing it to, say, the Piazzolla. I feel like, in my experience playing the Baba, it's very fun. You can be expressive and free. Piazzolla, you can be very expressive, but there are a lot of contrapuntal passages in it where I feel like you do need to keep that momentum in a steady stream, but still you can throw in a little bit of restrained rubato. Is that how you feel? Or
yeah, totally. I mean, the Baba it's supposed to breathe. There's all these moments where the Piazzolla is a tango. It's got to be very, except for the middle section, which is the middle sections of so the Primavera Porteña is from a set of 4. This is spring, 1 for each season. Primavera means spring. But in those, they all have a slow middle section. But yeah, the beginning very rhythmic, very contrapuntal, like you say, pretty much on the beat.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's like you said, it's the dance nature of it, and you're almost thinking of the dancers in mind.
Totally, yeah.
They're relying
also fun to play.
Yeah, they're relying on you for keeping that beat.
Yeah,
and
I'll try.
Yeah. No, I'm not so familiar with the reset, admittedly. Could you walk me through that?
Yeah, I came across a recording, Eterne Saudade. I don't know if I'm pronouncing these right. They're Brazilian. A recording of one. He's a Brazilian composer, and they're just beautiful short pieces. So I'm going to play a few of them. Yeah, I actually there's a few of them that are played a lot. But I tried to find a few that you don't hear often. So, yeah, I can't decide. I haven't decided if I'll do 3 or 4 of them yet. We'll see. They're short pieces, but they're really beautiful, and I think
are they more?
I just love Brazilian music, so
yeah. So they're a little bit more in that folk vein.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
and very fun. It's a fun program. Nothing too. Well, Bach is always deep, but
So I guess that segues me into the next question of so was the Bach obligatory, or was
I always play Bach? Yeah. I mean, it's my favorite stuff to play on guitar. If it wasn't for Bach, I probably wouldn't be playing guitar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I ever played a program where I don't do something by Bach, and for some reason I haven't programmed that in 9/7 before. So yeah, it's an incredible suite, and I'll be playing it with the capo on the 3rd fret to sort of take it to the original key of C minor for a loop.
Oh, interesting. So okay, so you're preserving it. Did you transcribe it yourself, or is this?
When I play Bach, I'm mostly using the Frank Kuntz transcription, but I draw from a lot of different transcriptions, usually with Bach, especially when it comes to fingerings, like left-hand fingerings, and I'm always sort of changing the way I articulate, and I find that I end up, while it's primarily the Kuntz, I end up making some changes to it.
Yeah, I think that's with really any Bach transcription, because it all depends on what you're comfortable with and how you hear the music.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the way I play Bach is that the good thing about Bach is I can play the same suite a couple of years later and just play it entirely different. And
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah,
it's always fresh, and there's always something that you can find.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's the way you think about the piece. Like the Chaconne, I could play that every couple of years for the rest of my life, and it'll be totally different every time. So Bach never gets old.
Yeah. So I guess, would you categorize? You have a very diverse set list or agenda there. So I don't know if you have a specialty like Baroque, Modern, Renaissance that you particularly like to play? And I guess not to pigeonhole you into saying what your favorite is or what you should be known as, like a period performer or anything, but do you have anyone that you favor in particular? I know we just spoke about Bach.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick a favorite, I would say Baroque music in general.
Yeah.
But I don't think I play it as a, necessarily the most historically accurate, or I kind of play Bach the way I like to. The one thing you'll find about Bach is everyone has like, everyone thinks they know the right way to play Bach, and all my, I sort of, yeah, Baroque music. If I had to choose one, it's my favorite, but I don't think I play it Bach in a way that's historically the most accurate. If that makes sense. But,
yeah, it makes sense. And I mean, we're playing it on 6-string guitar, so how
yeah,
historically accurate can we get?
Yeah. But I like playing. I like a lot of repertoire, but I always find myself like what I enjoy practicing the most is probably Baroque, Weiss, Bach, and yeah.
Would you just say, I don't know, for me it's sort of the flow.
Scarlatti.
Yeah. It's sort of that Baroque flow that you get into.
Just the counterpoint, just the sequences. It's just, I don't know. I think it just sounds so good on guitar, and
it almost becomes personalized in a way where you make it your own. In what you hear, this goes back to the counterpoint that is happening, and also what you decide to highlight. Would you say that's
yeah,
sort
exactly.
of why?
Yeah, exactly. What you choose to highlight, like that's what I'm. I'll play a sonata, or let's say like 998 BW 998. Like I can play the counterpoint you choose to bring out, like the different lines. Like all the time, I'll come back to it, and then I'll just hear, I'll bring this line out this time, and it can totally change the interpretation of the piece. I just feel like with Bach, it just never gets old for me. I could just play sequences for hours, honestly. Just like, it's just fun for me to. It doesn't feel like practice when I'm playing Bach. It's just
especially pedal points. They're particularly my favorite. It's very powerful, and there are so many ways you can express a pedal point.
Totally, yeah, for sure.
And do you believe in the going off on your own cadenza, writing your own, or do you follow sort of more of what Kuntz prescribes?
That is I don't. Yeah, for the saraband in particular of that the second repeat ornamentation, that is something I keep it pretty simple. I don't get too ornate with it during the repeats. That being said, I do like when I hear players who sort of add a lot of ornamentation. I guess I would say that's something I don't know enough about to feel confident. I was just saying I'm not the most historically accurate, but that's more in the way I play around with rubato and things like that. But in terms of actually the notes itself, I don't feel comfortable getting too wild with the ornamentation and things like that, just because I don't feel I don't feel like I'm informed enough about the Baroque ornamentation to sort of make those kind of decisions. So I like to keep it pretty straightforward. But that really applies to the saraband mostly during the repeats. So I use mostly what Frank Kuntz suggests, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's something. What you bring up is one of the scary parts for me, is making those sort of executive decisions, and where do I cross the line, and where does it become sort of, I mean, lack of a better term, masturbatory, if I am doing my own embellishments and doing it this way instead of that way, or taking these liberties.
Yeah, and I don't think the music is so beautiful on its own. I don't feel the pressure to yeah. If you listen to John Williams' recording of it, he doesn't. If I recall, I don't think he even changes anything on the Sarabande repeats. I do think it should have some ornamentation on the repeats, but
Mhm.
um, yeah, something I would like to explore more. You know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And again, we were speaking earlier about the Alan Krantz interview, and he does recommend some literature there. Uh,
yeah, there's a lot out there. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. But that's also the nice thing about Bach is he can be played 1,000 different ways.
yeah, yeah.
It's almost like a snowflake. All his pieces are like snowflakes, and whatever. Each one is special in its own right, and no one's going to play it the same twice.
But everyone thinks that they know the right way to play live.
Yeah,
That's the one
exactly.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's sort
Um,
of choose your own story or choose your own ending
yeah,
to the
exactly.
story.
I think it's just I used to try to search for the way to play Bach. Like, how am I supposed to play Bach? And I don't know. It's always changing, and I guess that's what I love about his music so much. And now I sort of just do what I like.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah,
but when it comes to the ornamentation and stuff, that's the one part where I feel I don't know, but yeah.
yeah. So, I guess anything else around what you're performing for the concert?
Um, I think I think that's about it. I mean, the Suite Antigua, the Santo Solo piece. It's actually written in the style of like the I'm only playing the prelude, um, but the entire suite is sort of like neo baroque music, which is interesting. I don't know if you're familiar with the suite.
No, I can't say. Yeah.
Um, but if you the prelude is the most sort of modern, although it's very tonal. But yeah, the other movements are basically just like trying to imitate Bach. Ponce has a sonata kind of like that,
Hmm.
and I enjoy it, but it's not Bach, and I'm already doing a Bach suite, so I'm just playing the prelude from that. But
Yeah.
it's a really really beautiful piece,
Yeah.
and yeah, he's a great composer. But
Absolutely. I'm looking
yeah.
forward to it. So you have a lot of irons in the fire. So alongside this concert, you're also a teacher. We'll put a pin in that. But uh, you have a newly formed New York City Guitar Quartet as the name. So you're part of that, and you're going to be making your debut actually this month in February at the Wilmington Guitar Society. So can you tell me a little bit more of who the members are, what you're going to be performing? Even let's start off at how this notion was conceived.
Yeah, so actually my good friend and former, well, we went to school together, Tom Clippinger. We did our undergrad together at Peabody. Um, he finished his doctorate at University of Texas at Austin, and then moved back to the area. And he sort of brought up the idea of starting a quartet, and I was into it. And then uh, we ended up finding. So it's me. The quartet members are me, Tom Clippinger, Jordan Dotson, and Phil Goldenberg. Um, Yeah, it was really Tom's idea, and then he brought me on, and then we talked to Phil and Jordan, and this was about 6 months ago, and yeah, and we're getting ready for our debut, so it's fun. It's a new sort of journey. So we
So
can't wait.
what will you be playing?
We are going to be playing. What are we playing? We're playing the third string quartet. So for the Philip Glass Mishima third string quartet, which is transcribed for guitar. It actually sounds really, really, really good on guitar, I think. I don't know if you're familiar with the piece, but and then we're also playing Stepan Rock, who's a Czech composer, a piece called Moods, which is in 3 movements. We're playing Furioso by Paolo Bellinati. We're playing Waracania by Sergio Assad. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And then Frederick Hand, who's a composer in New York, chorale. So a lot of, and then a fugue, the Little Fugue by Bach. I think it's UWV. What is that? 848? I'm not sure.
Yeah, the little fugue in G minor.
Is that 848? Yeah, the G minor fugue.
Yeah.
So
sounds interesting. So who primarily takes the reins on transcribing, or do you did someone else transcribe
the Bach was transcribed by Joseph Mays, who was Phil's teacher at Rowan. But most of the other, our quartet, we're really going to focus on new music on the guitar. That's the ultimate goal. But because we're so new, so we have we're commissioning, composers and but most of the pieces were written for guitar. Obviously the Philip Glass quartet was transcribed. Phil Goldenberg did a lot of the transcriptions for that, and then I forget who transcribed 2 of the other movements. You can see the Dublin Guitar Quartet play it on YouTube. It's very cool. It sounds really, really good on guitar, I think. I like Philip Glass. I really like Philip Glass.
So the primary, I guess, reason for being for this quartet is to premiere new music, promote
one of the reasons. One of the reasons. This concert, because it's our first, and we're putting together. It's going to take time to commission works. We're playing a lot of. I don't think we're premiering anything in this concert, but ultimately that will be the goal. But we're also playing I don't know if you're familiar with the Assad piece, the Waracania. I hope I'm saying that right, which is very cool. And Sergio Assad, everyone loves him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess with that, what would be the struggles of playing with an all guitar ensemble like that? I would imagine making sure your voice is heard when it needs to be heard, but also being able to homogenize with everyone else at times.
Mostly just where we're rehearsing in Philly or New York. Yeah, Tom Clopinger has he was in the Austin Guitar Quartet when he was doing, so he has some experience with that. Jordan plays a lot of chamber music, so yeah, it's we try to just make decisions on whose part needs to come out and follow the composer's indications as best we can, and sort of record ourselves and see how the balance is. And but yeah, we're looking forward to it. I mean, this will be our first live. Well, I mean, I hadn't played live since COVID, really, so it'll be interesting, but it'll be a lot of fun. I mean, it's just a whole different dynamic compared to playing as a soloist. Yeah, there's a lot more to consider, obviously. So,
yeah. What about compared to other ensembles? So ensembles of guitar and different instruments.
Yeah, I think this is easier because we don't have to. Whenever we play with other instruments, it feels like we're just trying to play as loud as we can to stay heard. Because guitar is such a quiet instrument, whereas this, we none of us really have egos, so we don't mind taking, coming down, and it's fun. So
Yeah. I always feel like guitar is sort of that misunderstood instrument, and if you could have an ensemble where other people can empathize with you and you sort of share each other's struggles there, it does add to the ensemble.
I think guitar quartet, guitar duo works really, really well. I think two guitars, it's almost, you can play all this piano rep, and guitar quartet, because guitar is such an articulate instrument, you do have to be really, really together. So four guitars it is difficult, because we can't sustain like, a string quartet. So if you come in late, like someone's going to, any little mistake, someone's going to hear. So two guitars is hard. Four guitars is, even harder. But
yeah,
I think guitar quartet, there's a lot of music already out there that we can play, but there's also a lot of opportunity for us to sort of hopefully help grow the repertoire, and yeah, no, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. And what I'm finding, so with new music, I think the problem with guitar quartets when you're playing, say, a Mozart or a Bach or Beethoven, they didn't have a guitar quartet in mind. So it's easy to play the percussive instrument and really get lost with all the same timbre, and then the audience is just listening to plucking of strings over and over again, sort of like a wall of guitar sound.
Yeah.
So with the newer music, it seems like with the composers composing with a guitar quartet specifically in mind, do you find that they're using their percussive qualities more? Are you doing more of an extended technique with these pieces?
That is a good point. Like, it's just not possible to play a lot of that music if you try to put most string quartets on guitar. It's just not going to work. Like, the fact that we can't sustain it, but yeah, when you're having new composers, right? I mean, the guitar, there's so much, but as a composer, I think there's so much you can do with a guitar. There's all, it can be a percussion, it can be, all these harmonics and just all these different colors, and it's such a versatile instrument. So I think composers, if you give them four guitars, I think there's a lot they can do with it, and
yeah, absolutely. And it's I know Ponce, he wrote guitar and harpsichord music, and was that Defaya was writing that as well during that time. It was sort of a little fad to do, and that can be a little, depending on the timbre of the harpsichord, it can become sort of like a jumbled, a little bit jumbled, especially the Preludio that's so popular with Ponce's Preludio.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Well, certain things like the Bach fugue, like that works, for example, because it's Bach and it's just counterpoint and articulate. Like that stuff's always going to work. But yeah, if you're doing a Beethoven string quartet, that's just not like it's not going to work on four guitars.
Especially the late ones with the as you said, the sustain, the long bowing.
Justice. Well, although we are like going to be playing, with we plan to like play pieces with electric guitar and get creative and stuff in the future.
That's cool.
So we'll see.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah. So I guess not to beat a dead horse there, but you bring up a great topic of I guess the differences between playing with other guitarists as opposed to other instruments. And you made mention of how the guitar is a very gentle instrument. You do have to be very aggressive, and it's sort of you're operating and fine tuning on the loud side of the spectrum of the guitar, and there are little nuances and changes you have to make. What concessions are you making when you play, say, with a violinist, or God help you if you're playing like the Bergmuller piano nocturnes?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all. It never surprises me how quiet. It never ceases to amaze me how quiet it is. Like you'll think you're projecting, and then you play with a flutist, and you're like, oh wow, I'm really not coming out. So it does feel like a lot of the times when you're playing, you are just, in some sense, just trying to be heard. Well, a lot of times when guitar is, when we play with other instruments, we're the accompaniment instrument anyway. So we're the sort of the background, but sometimes, you know, sorry, that was Siri. Yeah, I think you do. I do find I lose some of the maybe musical moments that I would like to do just because I'm trying to just play loud and be heard. But yeah, you do what you can. You know, it's
yeah. Do you find you have to possibly scout out venues? Say if you're playing again the Bergmuller piano and guitar nocturnes. I mean, it's almost impossible, even with the lid down on the piano. It's sort of like you have to make those concessions. Okay, we need a good vibrant space that's going to really bring out the guitar, but also, you know, the piano's lid has to be down and they have to be in the next room over in order for the guitar to be heard. Do you make those concessions, or
depending on the piece and what the guitar's role in the piece? I think you even have to amplify it sometimes.
Yeah. Do you have a set? Do you have a set microphone and amplification or system?
I don't know anything about miking and amps, and I just let wherever venue I'm playing at, I let the sound engineer figure that out. But I should know. But yeah, sometimes, obviously, if you're playing with an orchestra, it's done only a few times, but there's just no way you're going to be heard. So you have to. Yeah, it's not ideal amping the guitar, but sometimes you have to. Even for just a solo piano. I mean, I can't think of a particular piece that I would say I would amplify. I mean, I played the classic Piazzolla Tango Suite several times with violinists and with flutists. I've never amplified. I've always just played, it's a struggle.
And self miking. I went to a concert a couple of years back, and I saw this performer. I'm not going to name names because they're absolutely brilliant. They're skilled. They sound beautiful, but the way this ensemble mic'd him up, he was actually playing the Ponce Concerto del Sur, and the way they mic'd him up, it might as well have been, you know, a 1990s boombox that they put him through, because it just absolutely killed his tone. And it was unfortunate because he was playing beautifully. I've heard him play before, and he's an absolute phenomenal guitarist. I mean, study at Yale with Verdery, but it just butchered the tone and
that's why I really
the concerto.
Yeah, that's why I should learn up on exactly what kind of I know Jason always knows, like Jason Gill, who I studied with in Paris, always knows like exactly what settings and everything. I really should learn that, because if it's done well, guitar can be amplified really well with an orchestra, for example. But I've heard concerts, specifically guitar concerto concerts, where they just totally botch the sound, and then you just get this distorted, messy, like not ideal.
It almost the guitar has to be amplified or mic'd in a specific way. I'll be doing an interview with audio engineer recording specialists, but basically it's easy for, if you're doing just one microphone on guitar, it will just sound, it will strip away the full body tone. Where usually guitar, you'll double mic it or have a special diaphragm or anything. So I'm just speaking out my butt there, but
No, I know nothing for this, the recording for this that I'll be doing for the society. I'm having some people help me with the sound and the miking, because I again, this is something I know like almost nothing about. It's complicated.
I'm right there with you.
It's the whole thing.
So I guess we can segue here. So speaking of guitars, what guitar do you play? Who made it?
I play two guitars, pretty much like 50-50, just depending on what pieces I like. I play a Greg Byers 2010 cedar lattice brace, and then I have a 2013 or 2014 Martin Blackwell double top spruce. And yeah, I love them both. It's just depending on the piece. Like sometimes I like a piece better on a certain, on one of them. Yeah. And in this case, I'll be using the like I have to have a piece for Koyan Baba, the guitar for Koyan Baba. So I think that'll be the Byers. But,
so I guess the argument here. So depending on the guitar wood, you sort of get a brighter tone. I know VO, he likes that bright tone. I believe he uses a spruce.
Yeah, he plays a Wagner. He plays a double top. Yeah, I think it's spruce. I'm not sure how Wagner does his double tops, but yeah, those guitars are amazing. And but the one thing is, when I play, I wouldn't usually. If I was playing like most concerts, I'll just use one guitar. I practice on both of them, and then I sort of decide, like at the end of the, if I put together a program, okay, which guitar fits the program best, because I don't like to be switching guitars. But for this case, it's different, because Koyan Bala, like we talked about earlier, is just a mess. If I tried to do that with them on one guitar, I would need to take like a 15-minute intermission just to get ready for the piece.
I find the I always like the spruce for when I'm performing counterpoint. I feel like the cedar, and this is just guitar nerd stuff, the cedar is very warm, but it also I feel like it can get a little bit muddy or mushy if I'm playing counterpoint.
I used to be like very one side. I used to be like, I play cedar guitars. That's what I do. But now I don't really have I think it's so much about bracing more, and the construction and everything, because I'll play a spruce double top or something, and it sounds super rich and full, and if I didn't know it, I would think it was a C. I don't know. These days, I'm very much, if the guitar sounds good, then
Yeah.
I love it. But I used to be like very much like I need cedar guitars only. But
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
but they I would say they can be. I know what you're describing, like they a little bit muddy sometimes if they're too deep.
Yeah, you get that nice Segovia tone, but not
Yeah,
everything's going
sometimes
to
you want
be
that clarity.
romantic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but like you're alluding to, or basically saying you can hand a toddler a cedar or a spruce, and it won't matter. They're going to still sound like a toddler playing a guitar. Same with
yeah,
if you hand Segovia either a spruce or a cedar, he's still going to sound like Segovia. So
yeah. Yeah. I these days I think more about the builder and the construction and I mean I want more guitars, but it's a problem. But I'm always thinking about what others do. You never have enough.
yeah, that's I think that's everyone's problem.
Yeah,
The fatal flaw: not enough
I
money,
know.
not
I know.
enough, not enough guitars. Yeah.
I play my quartet. Now I'm Tom's guitar. He plays a Glen Cannon, and I'm like, now I have to have one. So I don't know. It's the struggle.
With all your guitars, how many, I guess, have you owned and traded to get where you are, and I guess, do you rue one trade you ever made? Like, I shouldn't have made that because I love that thing. Or,
Uh, I've had my guitars for a while, and most of them, like the buyers I've had, I got the scholarship when I was like 14
Mhm.
that I got it, and that's just been an amazing guitar. That, um, but the Blackwell, I don't know when I got that. We had sold when I was young. My mom, she would like always, she would take like a part-time job just to help, pay for lessons and get me a guitar. It was like she was so I sort of just have these good like guitars from when I was young, because I was fortunate to have you know my mom who sort of helped me acquire them. But yeah, nowadays I also have a Michael Thames guitar, which I play sometimes. And um yeah, it's been a while since I've like sold a guitar and bought a new one, but it's always on my mind. Like the buyers I would never sell. Um but yeah, I'm
Cool.
always shopping around in some
Yeah.
sense. I don't have money, but I theoretically, if I,
So I guess, where can we hear your guitars at work? Where can we find your recordings? Do you have a website, social media?
yeah, my Instagram is John W994. I'm trying to change it to John Marcel Williams, but for now it's at John W994. I post some clips there. My website is johnmarcelwilliams.com, which I need to update. And then I just did, if you just YouTube John Marcel Williams, I did recently a recording session with GSI, Guitar Salon International in Los Angeles. And there's a number of recordings there and just other recordings I've done over the years. No formal album yet, but that's in something I'm sort of planning on once I learn how to, deal with mics and stuff.
Well, you don't have to go independent.
Yeah,
I can
we'll
throw
see.
you some references there.
Yeah.
But beautiful work with GSI, by the way. That was
Oh, thank you.
fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
absolutely.
awesome to finally. I remember finally seeing that place. Very fun.
Yeah, and then I guess you have your guitar quartet, the New York City Guitar Quartet. You are debuting February in at the Wellington Guitar Society. Any other
Yep.
gigs you wanna highlight that are coming
Actually,
up?
technically, we're playing our debut is the day before, we just added an additional concert at
Oh,
the
awesome.
Athenaeum in Philadelphia. That's, I believe, February 18th. Um, it's the day before the Wilmington. I'm blanking if the Wilmington is the 19th or the 18th. But so you can, if you go to my Instagram account, or and soon I'm gonna put it on my website, but I'll post the ticket information there. So
Awesome. So, cool. Again, thank you for the interview.
thank you so much.
And for the audience here, John Marcel Williams, he'll be performing for the Philadelphia Classical Guitar Society on the 13th of February, 2022 at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course. And that's via a YouTube live stream. Make sure to visit his website. Again, that's johnmarcelwilliams.com. Go follow him on social media. He's definitely going to is making a big splash in the guitar world. Also, visit the Philadelphia Classical Guitar Society website. We're at phillyguitar.org. Both John and I are on the board there. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook under Philly Guitar. And just so everyone knows, PCGS is a not-for-profit society, so donations are gladly welcome. And membership is open not just to classical guitarists, but enthusiasts, music lovers in general. So feel free to join. And I'm Jordan. This is John Williams, and thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.